This, I think, is the last part of the puzzle. I have reviewed the Chord Dave, the Chord TT2, the Mojo 2, the M scaler. But this unit eluded me for quite a while. It's been out for a few years. This is their portable, mobile amp DAC, the Hugo 2. A special thank you goes out to Chord for sending this unit in for review. Let's discuss. So you pay £1,950 for this unit. It hasn't dropped in price. Chord products have a tendency to keep their value, even many years down the line. Even like the Dave right now is still selling for insane amounts of money, though it was released in 2014. And for damn good reason. The Dave is one of my favorite DACs of all time. It's absolutely incredible. So you pay your £2,000 almost, you get this beautiful etched magnetic clasp box. I like the presentation already. This is lovely. Up top, we have the Hugo 2. Hey, that's bigger than I thought. And underneath, we actually have a drawer. That's quite nice. Only IEM manufacturers tend to do this. Let me put that over there, put that over here, put that over here. Okay. Oh, blimey, we get a lot. So, you get a lot for your money. That bag is full of stuff, like genuinely. So I'm going to move this box out of camera frame so it's not in our way. There you go. Happy Christmas. Blimey, that's a lot. So we get all of these adapters for the wall wart itself. So whatever your country you are traveling to, you will actually be covered. This is amazing. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're covered by 4 sectors of the world. We'll put those there. This is, I think it's a 5 volt wall wart with a quick release mechanism. We get the RCA to RCA male cable. The cables for your portable needs, this one's a micro USB to USB-A cable. This one's quite useful. This is for basically at the desk. It's quite long and you'll be able to actually connect that to your laptop or your computer, etc. This one is optical to 3.5. I'll have a look at that in a minute, at the unit. This one is a USB-A to micro USB. This one is optical to optical squared, the little round connectors. This one's micro USB to micro USB. That one is definitely for mobile usage. And obviously we have the remote that looks very much like the TT2 with a volume, filter, crossfeed and inputs. That's really handy. And this is the reason why you're all here. This is the Hugo 2. It weighs quite a bit. It's not a light unit, so this is definitely mobile rather than personal. It reminds me of the TT2. I love this design, genuinely. You go over there. So, taking a tour around the unit, starting with the micro USB data port. This can support up to 32-bit 768 kilohertz DST at 512. That is the micro USB for the power input. This unit with its lithium battery can last up to 6 hours, depending on what type of headphones you use and obviously how loud you listen. Flipping the unit around, this is the optical connection. Cable's already provided for you. This one supports 24-bit 96 coax at single-ended data cable at 384 kilohertz or 768 for dual data cables, and you can actually use this with the M scaler. This is the pair of RCA 3.5 and 6.3 connections. The RCA and the headphones are all bound together, so they all come out of one circuitry output basically. So on the front of the unit we have a circular glass window. We have the volume pot on the right hand side, very much in reminiscent of the TT2. This is a marble ball that goes through the colors of the rainbow, starting with red, then green and yellow and orange and blue and whatever. For your volume settings, this is quite overwhelming until you get used to it. Then it becomes second nature. Then we have the etched Hugo right there. It's really beautifully done. The machining from Chord is just insane, absolutely insane. 4 buttons, vertically laid out in a row, starting with the power on and off. Then we have the crossfeed. Then we have the input selection, and this one obviously covers USB, coax, optical, Bluetooth with LDAC, and back to USB again. And finally, we have the filters, the same as the Chord Qtist. Incisive roll off, warm, and I believe warm would roll off on the filters there. So white, green, orange, and red. Each of these filters provide its own sonic characteristics, which we will get onto in the sound section. Plus the crossfeed, they make for a fantastic listening experience. You can also hold these two buttons, the crossfeed and the input, to actually go into line out mode, but be very careful, because if your sensitive IEMs are attached to that and it's going at max 2 volts or 3.7 volts, you will destroy your ears, the drivers, and most likely your life. So I don't recommend having this in line out mode. Be careful. And I believe it resets with the restart of the device itself. So that's the unit. Very nicely designed, ergonomic for the laptop bag, rather cumbersome for pocket. It's quite big. But most importantly, how does this thing sound? Shall we discuss? As you can see on the table, we have a few of these devices at hand, so I can do some comparisons versus later on. There'll be chapters down below so you can jump around as and when you want to. The Hugo 2 is a powerful device. Not only that, but the way it works is that it basically enhances and increases its output stage to create the final amplification for your headphones or your IEMs. And by that, the same as the TT2 and the Dave, I believe, you get a very, very tightly meshed, tightly wound, start to finish circuit. From the DAC to all the implementation Rob Watts implements in the pulse array, etc., to the output stage, and there is very little path between the two, providing a fantastic transparent experience. Detail retrieval is rather excellent with this unit, especially using the white filter, and it sounds the most neutral out of all the filters. It's very quick in the chord manner. Layering and imaging within the stage is a 360 spherical sound, and not only that, the edge of attack is wonderful. Transient response is fantastic. This unit is using a field programmable gate array. It's programmed by Rob Watts himself. That's why, unlike Sabre chips and AKM chips, where there seems to be a bit of a shelf life due to the release of the newer models and newer chips coming out year by year, Chord products have a tendency to hold their ground because they're programmed from start to finish. And if the Dave can go toe to toe with some of the best DACs, even now in the industry, under 10,000, though it was released close to 8 years ago, should say something. And the same implies for the Hugo 2. The only unfortunate thing is hardware. Hardware has a tendency to actually fall behind in the industry. Micro USB, for example, we are slowly, finally leaving that whole technology behind. And being able to use this with your laptop with a micro USB cable that is provided is fantastic. That's fine. But to use this with your phone, most phones are USB-C now. It's very difficult to get USB-C to USB-A. So you're going to have to go, for example, I use an iPhone, a camera kit adapter, then to USB-A. It's not elegant. It's not an elegant solution. Very much reminding me of this one. This is the Ifi Diablo. This takes a different approach, USB-C, but this is for the power, and the USB-A male, so you still have to incorporate the Apple camera kit adapter, and it still is a bit of a nightmare. But yet, obviously due to the late release of this one, not only has micro USB to be compatible with the previous Poly, but we've got USB-C to transfer data. So that is a little bit more versatile. As for the sound characteristics of the Hugo 2, it's very much reminiscent of the Qutest, and yet it has a bit more edge of attack, it has a bit more punch. The Qutest as a DAC, as a standalone DAC, I felt was a little bit overly soft, a bit too politely soft, but that was remedied by the Mojo 2, which I believe even now exceeds the Chord Qutest, though the Chord Qutest tap count is 49,000. Akin to this one. I believe the Mojo 2 is about 41,000 or something very close to that. I preferred this. I stated that it has a more transparent sound signature, textural information is better, and it seems as though it's a higher resolution. Does the same scenario apply for the Hugo 2? Yes and no. I think textural information and detail retrieval is better on the Mojo 2, legitimately. And with the ability of having DSP correction on this thing, it's absolutely amazing at 1/3 of the price. But the amplification inside the Hugo 2 is still incredible. Absolutely fantastic. Like desktop class leading kind of good. I have been using this unit on a regular basis with the Meze Audio 109 Pro, with the Meze Liric, with the MAD 24s, with the MAD 16s from Ambient Acoustics, the TH900s, and a variety of other headphones on the channel. Chord, as a rule, has a good synergy form with a lot of headphones, but there are some headphones it doesn't work with. Focal, for example. I never found the experience too pleasant. But with everything I mentioned, and including Atrium, using the warm roll-off filter, the last one, the red, absolutely sublime. And to be able to have that on the go was exceptional. Vocals is excellent, but I think the highlight of the unit for me is the punch and attack. It's the bass region. It really does stand out. Its stage is big as well. Its lateral information is very well retrieved. Timbre is excellent, like other Chord products. Genuinely, I was surprised. I thought, okay, this unit has had its heyday. It's kind of old now. Though the price is still high, is it worth it? Sonically, I've been using this on a regular basis until this unit came in. This is the Luxury and Precision P6 Pro. This is twice as expensive as this one. This one's 4,000, this one's 2,000. And this one is implementing a ladder DAC, a set of transistor ladders like the May over there. The Hugo 2 here is a Delta Sigma DAC, unlike the ladder. So sonically, is it worth the money at 2,000? I think with the release of the Mojo 2, it's a very hard sell. But its amplification module is absolutely superb. Its ability to output RCA to other amplifiers, coax if you have an M scaler, or in my case, HQ player for upsampling, is excellent. Optical is excellent, but hey, what do you have it? Mojo 2 has the same thing. 2 headphone jacks, optical, coax, and a pair of micro USBs, and a USB-C. But those are just hardware functionalities. The amp in the Mojo 2 provides a smaller soundstage, less impact, more visceral attack on the Hugo 2. Textural information is better. Tonally, the Mojo 2 is less soft. But if you want an all-in-one system, this is genuinely, even now, fantastic. And I love this thing. I can't wait to review the to-go unit to go with this, to actually take it around as a streaming device, like basically this, like the DAC, where there's a memory card and you can put your own music on it and use this as a system on the go. But I will be able to update you guys in regards to another review on that later on. Its ability to concisely move volume in a digital realm is fantastic. I love this color mechanism and I love the volume knob. The volume ball, the same as the Chord GT2. So let's just do some comparisons quickly. Taking my favorite track, Hans Zimmer's Pirates of the Caribbean, due to its amount of instruments, openness of stage, how many instruments there are, reverberations and characteristics of the atmosphere around it, this is a good indicator of actually pricing and scaling these units side by side. So price-wise, 4,000 for the P6 Pro, 2,000 or thereabouts for the Hugo 2, 1,950 to be precise. This unit is $700 in the United States. I think it's £500 here now, so it must have gone up a little tiny bit if I'm not mistaken. And then we have the Diablo at around 1,200. I'll put all the current prices down below in the description, but it's as close to that as near as I can find out. Separation. Which of these stand out more than anything else? Separation between the P6P and the Hugo 2 are class leading out of these four. The separation of instruments. Each definable individual instrument is articulated, placed, and does not impinge on the instruments around it. First the P6 Pro, then Hugo 2, and then I would actually put it to these two together, the Diablo and the Mojo 2. The Mojo 2 is absolutely outstanding, especially in diagonal lateral information. So how about articulating the atmosphere the track was recorded in? The P6 Pro is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's on par with a $3,000 DAC that I reviewed, the Hollow Audio Spring review right here. Then I would actually give that to the Hugo 2 next. It has a tendency to showcase what room music was recorded in very, very well. I'm quite impressed with that, genuinely. Then I would actually give it to the Mojo 2, then finally the Diablo. Textural information, this one's easy. This one goes to P6 Pro, then Mojo 2, then Hugo 2, then I'll give textual information retrieval to Diablo last. Realism, Chord has always been fantastic at this. These two match, the Hugo 2 and the Mojo 2. P6 Pro is quite a ways ahead, but it's twice the price as well, so bear that in mind. Because of the ladder DAC, ladder DACs have a tendency to really retrieve the organic nature of real life, and it's absolutely exceptional. Finally, moving on to the frequency response. Let's start with bass. The deepest of sub-bass rumbles, the articulation, the sustainability of the 20 Hertz region. P6 Pro, Diablo, then Hugo 2, then Mojo 2. The tonal balance goes to P6 Pro, Mojo 2, then Hugo 2, then Diablo. Diablo is a little sharper, it's a little brighter, it's a little more analytical. Mojo 2 has a tendency to be beautiful, transparent, and yet it's got its own characteristic tonality that is less soft than the Hugo 2, but you can tell they're from the same family. And the P6 Pro is pitch black, artistically drawn music on a black canvas. It's in another universe. But so is its price, to be honest with you. I don't know how many people are going to reach for a $4,000 DAP. That doesn't stream. So you know who you are if you want that level of performance tied into basically like a Hugo 2 with a to-go or a Mojo 2 with a poly. Mid-range is like this for me, I think, where I get drawn into the music. Vocals is nicely presented right there. It's very centralized. I would give it to the P6 Pro first, then Hugo 2, then Mojo 2, then Hugo 2. And I think Diablo is on par. It really is beautiful, genuinely. Very open, very lush, very present, but a bit analytical if you're using the eco mode. This unit is one of my favorites. I genuinely like it, under $1,000 or thereabouts. Treble region, this is where Diablo is last. It's the most edgy of all of them. Perfection is the P6 Pro, then Hugo 2 and Mojo 2 are fighting it out because you've got a bit more of a bright tonality, by a little bit. And I think that bright tonality is due to the slight softness of the Mojo 2, but they're both absolutely lovely in the sense that they never fatigue you. This one does, Diablo. And this one just makes you go, how is this even possible on a DAC? Price to performance ratio, Mojo 2 is the best thing you're gonna get under $1,000. There's just no competition. Crossfeed, DSP correction, textual information retrieval, being able to listen to music and yet sound realistic. But power, that's when you go to Diablo, Hugo 2, and I put P6P after those two. These two are far more powerful than this one. Genuinely, it feels as though these two can handle anything. Has the Hugo 2 had its heyday? Let's discuss the conclusion. Conclusion. The Hugo 2, built exceptionally well. It's so beautiful, genuinely. This is like a baby TT2, 5 tigers out of 5. Absolutely stunning. Functionality, some of it's very antiquated, unfortunately. It's micro USB, but this unit came out years ago, so you can't actually take points away from that. When it came out, micro USB was the dominant connection at the time, and it's 2023 now, you know. But I'm going to give it 3 tigers because of the other functionalities: RCA, optical, coax, etc. Not having 4.4 is really annoying, but I can't take that away because Chord, I mean, when you think about it, Chord products, Dave, TT2, Mojo 2, and Hugo 2 are all belonging to the same family and they all follow the same story. So to yell about it in this one as well, well, it is what it is. You pay your money and you get what you want, really. So this is a fully single-ended topology, end-to-end, but implemented in the best way possible. Only pick the Hugo 2 over the Mojo 2 if I require more power and if I require something that is solidly, consistently there to drive not just IEMs but over-ear headphones. And I like what Chord does. I like the filters, I like the crossfeed, and I know who I am. Because I think for £2,000, you can pick other things now. Even in the Chord family, I can't wait for Hugo 3 because with USB-C implementation and with the DSP correction from Mojo 2, and then yet still having the crossfeed and having the filters, that's a device worth dreaming about. Until that moment, this is the Hugo 2 review. I'm Koji CEO. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.